First contact and first insult. The Galactic Empire's delegation arrived on Earth in a vessel that split the skies like a silver blade, descending through the clouds above Geneva with theatrical grandeur. It hovered over Lake Geneva for a moment, its gravitic fields causing waves to ripple unnaturally, before slowly docking at the United Global Defense Complex. They always did love a show. General Regina Hawkins stood at the edge of the landing platform with her arms folded and expression neutral. Decades of war had hardened her into a woman not easily impressed. Around her stood Earth's military leaders from every major nation-state, all watching with mixed emotions as the Empire's ramp extended and their entourage floated down in an elegant column of armored hover discs. At the head of the procession was High Strategos Zelviwar, an 8-foot-tall figure with polished obsidian armor etched with glowing glyphs. His elongated face was unreadable, his eyes glowing faint blue under a ridged brow. Zelviwar was flanked by towering guards in biomechanical exosuits, their weapons humming with latent plasma. He didn't offer a hand. Instead, he looked past the gathered Earth generals at the weapons display behind them, rows of tanks, artillery, and aircraft. Then he laughed. "A charming collection of relics," Zelviwar said in a voice like cracking crystal. "I had expected at least some attempt at modern warfare." Hawkins felt the tick in her jaw. "You'll find our weapons are effective." The alien raised a hairless brow ridge. "I see you still rely on combustion engines and projectile weapons. These things," he motioned toward an M1 Abrams tank stationed proudly on the tarmac, "are museum pieces." "This one," Hawkins said, stepping forward, "has more confirmed kills than any of your hover lancers or plasma cannons. It's seen battle in sand, snow, and ash. It was made by humans for war, not ceremony." Zelviwar turned to her. "You humans still think warfare is about grit and metal. We moved beyond that millennia ago. Warfare is elegant now, decided by AI, not sweat." "You don't win wars by algorithms," Hawkins replied. "You win them by surviving." There was a pause. One of Zelviwar's aides whispered something in their strange melodic language, and the High Strategos gave a dismissive nod. "Very well," he said. "We will prove the obsolescence of your Earth weapons. The Empire proposes a demonstration. Your best battalion, your finest machinery. We shall bring a single company of our mechanized infantry. A simulated engagement on neutral terrain. Let us see which philosophy survives contact." Hawkins didn't flinch. "Agreed. Mars. Chrysoplanidia. 48 hours. Zelviwar smiled, thin and cruel. "This will be entertaining." Later that evening, inside UGD Command, the mood was tense. The holographic map of Chrysoplanidia hovered above the war table, flickering in soft blue as Earth's military planners reviewed satellite feeds and terrain maps. "They're going to roll us," said Colonel Singh, arms crossed. "We both know they're not sending scouts. They'll bring their damn warden units. And we're sending an Abrams." General Hawkins paced slowly. "Not just an Abrams. The Abrams." A silence fell. "You mean Old Thunder?" someone asked. Hawkins nodded. "She's not ready," Singh objected. "She's a relic with modern wiring, sure, but we can't expect it to stand up to their armor." "You're wrong," Hawkins said, her voice steely. "Old Thunder's not just a tank. She's a statement. We've upgraded her with what we had: thermal adaptive plating, anti-drone mesh, and the new rail-assisted breech loader. But more than that, her crew are veterans of the Eurasian Break Line, the Martian dust riots, and the Antarctic reclamation. They bled together. That tank is theirs." She looked around the room. "Let the Empire laugh. Let them bring their floating toys. We'll bring iron, grit, and everything we've learned from centuries of fighting with less. They don't fear us because they don't understand us. That ends now." 2 days later, under the pale Martian sun, a battle-scarred M1 Abrams rumbled through the red dust toward its position. The tank was older than every soldier standing in its shadow, but its engine growled like a beast hungry for war. Inside, Sergeant Mason Brick Ramirez adjusted his targeting console. "So, it's us versus an empire?" Corporalina Voss smirked from the gunner's seat. "Nothing new there. Lieutenant Harper, their commander, glanced out the periscope. Orders are simple. Punch through their line. Hold Sector Echo 4, and don't let M forget the name Old Thunder. The tank rumbled on. Above them, in orbit, the Empire's command fleet watched the war game unfold. High Strategos Zelvyr sat in his throne-like command seat, sipping from a crystalline chalice. They bring a fossil to a plasma war, he chuckled. His aide nodded. Begin the engagement, Zelvyr ordered. The signal was sent. The battle for Mars had begun, and the Empire was about to learn a lesson carved in steel. Skirmish at the Red Wastes. The Martian dawn broke in dull reds and golds as dust storms crept along the ridges of Chryse Planitia. Amidst this barren, wind-swept valley, two armies stood across from one another, one sleek and futuristic, the other grim and weather-worn. The Empire's forces shimmered under refracting stealth fields. Hover tanks floated silently above the sand. Spider-like drones skittered along invisible networks. Their troops, encased in alloy-white exosuits, stood in perfect formation like statues sculpted for war. AI directed, emotionless, and precise. Across the cracked terrain, hidden behind jagged boulders and a shallow ridge, the humans waited. Infantry in desert camo crouched low. Spotters readied rangefinders. Field engineers prepped jamming rigs and turret pop-ups. And at the heart of the human line, roaring to life with a deep metallic growl, was Old Thunder, the M1 Abrams. Sergeant Ramirez tapped the comms. Eyes up. Drones are probing our left flank. Lieutenant Harper responded from the commander's seat. Hold fire. Let them get close enough to be sure. Inside the tank, the air was dense with tension and the smell of old oil and new resolve. From a distant dune, the first shot came. A bolt of plasma arced silently across the sky and slammed into a decoy human APC, reducing it to slag in a flash of blue fire. The Empire's assault had begun. Their strategy was textbook: precision artillery strikes, drone swarms ahead, hover armor in a pincer motion. They expected the human formation to collapse quickly, panicked and overwhelmed. But the UGD soldiers didn't run. They dug in. As the dust cloud thickened, Old Thunder moved. Her treads dug deep into the Martian soil, throwing up red sand as she surged forward. Her turret rotated smoothly, tracking the lead Empire hover tank. Target locked, Voss announced. Range 1,400 meters. Send it, Harper said. The cannon fired. There was no plasma, no silent beam of light, just the old-school thunder of a kinetic sabot, round blasting through the thin atmosphere. The round punched clean through the Empire hover tank's shield, armor, and AI core in a single, brutal instant. The wrecked craft spun midair, before crashing into the ground like a dying bird. The Empire's advance staggered. Ramirez grinned. Still think we're primitive? The Empire responded by deploying its phalanx formation. Overlapping energy shields, synchronized targeting, coordinated movement. It was beautiful in a cold, mathematical way, but it wasn't built for unpredictability. Human infantry moved fast and low, using terrain and smoke to disrupt line of sight. Makeshift jammers lit up, throwing off the Empire's drone coordination. Mortar fire from hidden pits sent concussive bursts into AI nodes. And through it all, Old Thunder kept moving. A second Empire tank closed in, this one sleeker, with adaptive shield plating. It fired a cluster of plasma bolts that scorched the landscape around the Abrams, forcing Harper to maneuver through a shallow canyon. Damage? She asked. Minor scarring on the outer plates, Ramirez replied. She's still kicking. Then let's introduce this thing to Newtonian physics, Harper said, loading an armor-piercing round. They crested the ridge. The Empire tank spotted them too late. Voss fired. The shell punched through the adaptive shield before it could recalibrate. The tank imploded in a flash of blue and orange, its wreckage skidding across the Martian rock like debris from a dying star. Elsewhere on the battlefield, human units held strong. They weren't AI precise, but they were unpredictable, using decoys, bait positions, and old guerrilla tactics that confused the Empire's calculated war doctrine. By the third hour, Empire losses mounted. High Stratego Zelvyr watched the live feeds aboard his orbital command ship, his expression darkening. This cannot be correct. That tank was obsolete when their species was still primitive. His aide stammered. They've adapted it, Strategos. It's using primitive ballistics, yes, but it's outmaneuvering our armor. Their tactics are chaotic, but effective. The Abrams is coordinating fire teams and disrupting our lines. Zelvyr stared in disbelief. How is it doing this? Because, another officer muttered, it's not just a machine. It's an extension of them. On the battlefield, the sun dipped low. Smoke and dust clouded the air. The last of the Empire's forward platoons began to retreat. Inside the Abrams, the crew sat sweaty, tired, but unbroken. Ramirez chuckled. 3 kills, 0 losses. They should have brought more toys. Harper adjusted her helmet and looked through the periscope. They're regrouping. This was just their opening play. They thought we'd roll over. Now they'll come harder. Voss cleaned the cannon breech. Let them. This tank's not just steel. It's human stubbornness on treads. In the fading Martian light, Old Thunder powered down into standby, silent but watchful. The Empire had mock-human weapons. Now, they feared them. Pride meets armor. The Martian sky was bleeding rust as the sun dipped behind Olympus Mons. Smoke plumes twisted into the dimming horizon, painting the valley in smears of ash and fading fire. The first engagement had ended in a resounding embarrassment for the Galactic Empire. But they were far from finished. From orbit, reinforcements descended. The drop pods came like thunderbolts, slamming into the planet's crust with seismic fury. Towering forms rose from the craters. Mechanized warwalkers plated in iridescent alloys, each over 10 meters tall. They moved with an eerie fluidity, their limbs humming with power. Alongside them came new hover armor, sleeker and faster, and infantry draped in psionic shields. At the heart of the deployment stood the Empire's pride, the Titan Warden. Clad in diamond-forged composite armor and powered by a fusion core, the Titan was less a vehicle and more a god of war sculpted in steel. Its dual plasma lances could melt city blocks. Its AI command hub could coordinate hundreds of units in real time. Watching it descend, High Stratego Zelvyr allowed himself a grim smile. Now, he whispered, let them throw their antique at this. On the human side of the ridge, Old Thunder rumbled back to life. Her armor was scorched, treads dust-caked, but her spirit was untouched. Inside the cabin, Lieutenant Harper reviewed recon drone footage of the new arrivals. Well, Ramirez muttered, looks like the Empire just got angry. Voss tapped through the data stream. We've got 6 new hover tanks, a few dozen mechanized units, and what the hell is that? Harper zoomed in on the towering figure. Titan-class battle mech, she said. Looks like it's their command unit, and it's coming straight for us. Outside, UGD infantry repositioned, planting anti-tank mines and charging fresh batteries for their coil rifles. Earth's artillery was limited, most of it grounded due to jamming, but they had one advantage, a tank built like a fist. All right, Harper said, buckling her harness. New rules. This time we hit first. The second engagement began with silence. The Empire's walkers advanced in eerie synchronization, stepping over boulders and crushed wrecks. The Titan Warden led the charge, each footstep leaving craters behind. From cover, human snipers and drone-guided mortars harassed the flanks, but the new shielding systems absorbed or deflected nearly every hit. Then Old Thunder moved. She didn't wait. Charging down from a ridge like a bull through smoke, the Abrams closed the gap with astonishing speed. Her upgraded treads crushed stone and sand alike. Her turret locked onto the lead walker, not the Titan, but its flanking escort. Firing heat. Voss shouted. The round slammed into the walker's knee joint. It crumpled with a shriek of tearing metal, collapsing into its own kindling. That got their attention. The Titan's AI instantly recalibrated. The giant turned, its lance cannons spinning up. Inside the tank, alarms flared as warning systems lit red. Brace! Harper barked. A twin burst of plasma fire struck the Abrams' path, incinerating the terrain around it. The force threw dust and shrapnel across the valley, but the tank surged on, slipping between blasts like a beast dodging lightning. "We're going to have to get close," Harper said, teeth gritted. "Right under it." "Are you insane?" Ramirez asked. "Yes," she said. "Get us under its line of fire. Voss, load APFSDS. We'll crack that armor from the bottom." Old Thunder roared. She danced through war like a predator through a burning forest. The Titan, elegant but slow, couldn't react fast enough to her erratic maneuvering. The Abrams slid between two wrecked hover tanks, using them for partial cover. The Titan fired again. One lance seared through the ridge, the other vaporized a bunker. But the humans were already moving. Harper shouted, "Target the left leg joint. Fire now." The sabot round fired. It struck true. A hiss of steam exploded from the Titan's limb as the ceramic plates cracked. The massive war machine staggered, one leg dropping. But it didn't fall. Instead, it knelt and aimed directly at Old Thunder. "Get us out," Ramirez yelled. Too late. A lance blast struck the Abrams dead on. Everything went white. The tank didn't die. The forward armor, layered with depleted uranium and composite reactive plating, cracked but held. The front loader was warped. The comms were fried. One tread was torn clean off. But she didn't die. Inside, smoke filled the cabin. Voss was bleeding. Harper's visor was cracked. Ramirez had a broken wrist. "I can't steer her," he said. Harper coughed. "We don't need to steer. Just load." Outside, the Titan rebalanced, stepping forward for the kill. Old Thunder didn't retreat. She aimed. Voss, bleeding and half-blind, chambered the final sabot round. Harper whispered, "For Earth." And they fired. The round soared in an arc that defied calculation. High, spinning, silent death. It slammed into the Titan's central AI hub, just below the core. The explosion was not fire, but light. The machine spasmed, staggered, and with a final groan of metal, collapsed. The Titan Warden fell. The battlefield fell still. In orbit, Zelvyr stood frozen. Around him, silence. Every command officer, every tactical AI node, every screen, all watched the image of the fallen Titan. A tank. A tank had done this. The strategos turned slowly. "What are these humans?" His aide whispered. "Unbreakable. The lesson of iron and fire." Silence blanketed Chrysae Planitia. Smoke curled from the wreckage of the Titan Warden like the last breath of a dying god. Its glowing core pulsed weakly. The once imposing war machine, now a twisted mountain of metal and failure. The Empire's soldiers had halted mid-advance. Their formation had crumbled, not by a superior algorithm, but by the shattering weight of disbelief. And at the center of it all sat Old Thunder, scorched and smoking, but alive. Inside the tank, Lieutenant Harper spat out a bloodied tooth. The air reeked of oil and ozone, and warning lights blinked in chaotic rhythm. They had survived barely. "You two still breathing?" she croaked. Ramirez coughed. "Yeah, though I think I left a rib back there." Voss nodded, face bruised and bloodied. "Target destroyed." There was a pause. Then laughter. Wounded, filthy, and exhausted, the crew of Old Thunder laughed. They weren't just alive, they had done the impossible. The tank that the Galactic Empire had mocked as a fossil had just slain their greatest weapon. Across the Martian battlefield, UGD troops were regrouping. Some emerged from bunkers and foxholes with wide eyes. Others wept openly. Drones captured the footage in full. The moment the Titan fell, the Abrams still aimed, engines still rumbling, crew still defiant. Back on Earth, the images were already streaming worldwide. On the orbital warship Vigilant Glory, High Strategos Zelvyr stood motionless. His command bridge was silent. Every tactical AI had frozen. Analysts stared at monitors as if they had seen a ghost. A single tank, an Earth relic, had shattered an Empire standard. "Impossible," Zelvyr whispered. One of his junior officers, voice shaking, replied, "We underestimated them." Again, the strategos slammed a fist against the console. This was a demonstration. They've humiliated us in front of the entire Galactic Council. The footage is spreading across the extranet. Indeed it was. Millions across the galaxy, subjugated worlds and neutral powers alike, were watching Earth's tanks stand above the ruins of the Titan. It wasn't just a battlefield victory. It was a message. Humanity had teeth, and they remembered how to bite. Back at UGD Command on Earth, General Regina Hawkins stood before a massive holoscreen. Around her, advisors and strategists reviewed incoming transmissions. 17 independent systems just requested tactical partnerships, one aide said. Some are even offering weapons research exchange. Another added, Empire diplomats are scrambling to suppress the footage. Too late. It's already viral. Hawkins didn't smile. She simply nodded. Give me the crew. 3 days later, Old Thunder sat on a landing platform in Geneva, battered but intact. The tank had been lifted off Mars like a relic from Holy War. A quiet crowd had gathered. Not politicians, not press, but soldiers. Veterans, mechanics, pilots, people who understood what had happened. Ramirez, Voss, and Harper stood beside the tank, uniforms newly pressed, wounds still healing. General Hawkins approached. "You three don't look like heroes," she said. Harper saluted. "We don't feel like them either." "You shouldn't," Hawkins replied. "You're soldiers. And this," she gestured at Old Thunder, "this isn't a relic. It's proof." "Proof of what?" Voss asked. "That in the age of fleets and plasma, humans still know how to fight." She handed Harper a small, data-encrypted chip. "The Empire has requested a ceasefire. They want a reassessment of tactical relations." Ramirez snorted. "They want to save face. They want to survive," Hawkins corrected. "We gave them a bruise. Now, they realize we can break bones." She turned and looked at the battered tank, then back at the crew. "We're ramping up production. Not of new tech, of proven machines. Abrams Apaches attends. Reforged, rearmed. Because we've learned something." Voss tilted her head. "What's that?" Hawkins smiled, thin, fierce. "They may have smarter weapons, but we still have better warriors." In the galactic capital of Zenthros Prime, the footage of the Titan's fall was now a symbol. On screens in marketplaces, in crowded alleyways, on star freighters. People watched Old Thunder fire her final shot. The subtitle burned across the bottom of every feed. They mocked human steel. Then they met it. Rebellion stirred. On worlds under Empire occupation, resistance cells, now war patches shaped like tank treads. They didn't need Earth to save them. They just needed Earth to prove it could be done. Across the stars, fear changed hands. In a quiet hangar on Earth, Old Thunder sat in silence. New armor plates were being fitted. Her scorched barrel would soon be replaced. Engineers worked carefully, reverently, like blacksmiths reforging a legendary blade. Someone had painted 3 words on her side in bold white letters. "Fear Old Earth." Harper, Ramirez, and Voss stood nearby, watching. "You think they'll ever forget?" Voss asked. Ramirez shook his head. "Not in 1,000 years." Harper simply stared at the tank and said, "They won't forget, and they won't laugh again."